It is wonderful to be here with you tonight. Thank you for coming out and supporting us. President Trump continues to fight for you every single day. Do not let your voices be silenced. We must keep our seats in the Senate. It is more important than ever that you exercise your right as an American citizen and vote. Under my husband's leadership, our borders are safer. Global terrorists have been destroyed and historic peace deals in the Middle East have been made. Our nation is respected again, and our allies are now doing their fair share globally. President Trump has brought jobs back to the American people. And opportunities for women have expanded in our workforce. Our economy has soared and unemployment has shrunk. When a global pandemic hit the United States last January, my husband put the American people first. And now, under this administration, and because of our amazing medical capabilities and resources, we are closer than ever to vaccinate that will save millions of lives. Let your voices be heard, Georgia. Get out and vote for Senator Loeffler and Senator Perdue. Thank you, and God bless you and your families. It is now my pleasure to welcome the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you. A very popular First Lady, I have to tell you. Thank you very much, and thank you, Melania. And I want to say, hello, Georgia. We did a great job. You know, we won Georgia, just so you understand. And we won Florida. And we won a lot of places. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. No, we won a lot of places. We won Florida. We won Ohio. Big. We won them big. Remember, we were going to lose Florida, they said. We were 5 down in Florida. We won by a lot. We were way down in Ohio, and we won by a lot. I think they say that if you win Florida and if you win Ohio, in history, you've never lost an election. This has got to be our first time. But the truth is, they were right. We've never lost an election. We're winning this election. And I will say we're fighting very hard for this state. When you look at all of the corruption and all of the problems having to do with this election, all I can do is campaign, and then I wait for the numbers. But when the numbers come out of ceilings and come out of leather bags, you start to say, what's going on? But I want to just tell you that I love this state. I love the people in this state, and I'm thrilled to be back in magnificent Georgia, with thousands of proud, hard-working American patriots. Let me begin by wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. Remember the word? Remember? We started 5 years ago, and I said, you're going to be saying Christmas again, and we say it proudly again, although they'll be trying to take that word again out of the vocabulary. We're not going to let them do that. I also want to express our profound condolences to the family of Harrison Deal, a young and brilliant campaign staffer for Senator Loeffler, who tragically died in a terrible car accident yesterday. You know about it. He was an incredible, magnificent young man, and I just want to say our prayers are with his friends and loved ones, and we will keep his memory in our hearts. And he's looking down right now, and he's very proud of Kelly and David. He's very proud of all of us, so I just want to express my best wishes, okay, to the family and everybody. Thank you, Kelly. And let me also express our warmest best wishes and love to all of those people and families suffering from the COVID pandemic. Vaccines are on their way at a level that nobody ever thought possible. It would have taken another administration 5 years. It took us 7 months, and they're starting next week, and we're going to start vaccinating, and a lot of people already are vaccinated. It's called you caught it, and you're immune. I hope it's true. You know, they say that before I had it, they said if you catch it, you're immune for life. Once I got it, they said if you catch it, you're immune for 4 months, right? You know? But they're on their way, the vaccines, and they're great vaccines and safe and brilliant, actually, to think of it, what we've done in such a short period of time. Nobody thought. They call it, even some of the enemies call it a medical miracle, what we've done. And we also have great therapeutics, and they're already here. And I can testify to that fact. I'll tell you what, some incredible work has been done over the last 7 months, and we should always get credit for that. Don't let anyone ever take it away from us. We're gathered here tonight to ensure, a very important word, ensure, because these are two great, great people that I know so well and respected by everybody in Washington and beyond, that David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler win the most important congressional runoff probably in American history. I really believe that. I think it's in American. There's never been a time like this where you have two at one time. At least you have two beauties. And you know what? You also have two beauties running against them, but beauty in a different way. They're two beauties. But there's never been a case where a state has had this prominence on Senate races, because they're never together. And this is something that's very important, and you have to get out and you have to vote. You have to make sure you have every vote counted. Every vote has to count. You got to make sure they don't throw away any ballots. You got to make sure that when they collect the ballots and they start bragging about how many ballots they already have, you got to make sure your Secretary of State knows what the hell he's doing. And you got to make sure your governor gets a lot tougher than he's been. He's got to get a lot tougher. Because at stake in this election is control of the U.S. Senate, and that really means control of this country. The voters of Georgia will determine which party runs every committee, writes every piece of legislation, controls every single taxpayer dollar. Very simply, you will decide whether your children will grow up in a socialist country or whether they will grow up in a free country. And I will tell you this, socialist is just the beginning for these people. These people want to go further than socialism. They want to go into a communistic form of government, and I have no doubt about it. Somehow that doesn't suit Georgia too well. That doesn't work too well, I think, Kelly in Georgia, does it, huh? David and Kelly are running against radical Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. Ossoff and Warnock are the two most extreme, far-left, liberal Senate candidates in the history of our country. And you got them both at one time. How did that happen? I think you both got lucky, but we'll see, right? We'll see. You must go vote, and vote early, starting December 14th. You have to do it. They cheated and they rigged our presidential election, but we will still win it. We will still win it. We'll still win it. And they're going to try and rig this election, too. we continue to fight. We've had some great moments. We just need somebody with courage to do what they have to do, because everyone knows it's wrong. We need somebody with courage, somebody that makes decisions. And we'll be going up to the Supreme Court very shortly, and we really, if we have courage and wisdom, I think you know what the answer is going to be, because you can't let people get away with what they got away with. Think of it, with over 74 million votes, think of that, more than, I got more votes than any sitting president in history, 11 million more votes than we got in 2016. And we thought that if we could get 68 million, 67 million, that would be the end. All of our great, brilliant geniuses said you'd win if you get 67 or 68, it's over. We got 74 million plus, and they're trying to convince us that we lost. We didn't lose. They found a lot of ballots, to be nice about it, and they got rid of some too. The 74, let me tell you, the 74 could have been even higher. As the great pollster John McLaughlin, who's really a great pollster, one of the most highly respected, he said there's no way this could have happened other than the obvious cheating or a rigged election. There's no way it could have happened. You know, it's interesting. I wrote this out, and I had just a few of the facts, which I think, because I want to get onto the presidentials. I want to stay on presidential, but I got to get to these two because they're incredible. But listen to this. These are the facts. And each fact is like irrefutable, and it means win. President Trump received, done by one of the most brilliant political people, President Trump received more votes than any previous incumbent president in history. And we lost. And we lost. So we received more votes than anybody in history, any incumbent in history. And we lost, supposedly. We didn't lose. You're gonna see that. No incumbent who received 75% of the total primary vote lost re-election in the history of our country. President Trump received 94%, not 74, 94, which is one of the highest in history. In fact, President Trump is the only one of 5 incumbents since 1912 to receive more than 90% of the primary vote. And again, anybody received over 75%, they won. We got 94%. President Trump set a record for the most primary votes ever received by an incumbent, ever. And nobody that's received all of the primary votes, nobody's received at a much lesser level than what they always won. But we didn't, according to what they say. It's rigged. It's a fixed deal. Nationally, initial numbers show that 26% of President Trump's voting share came from non-white voters, the highest percentage for a GOP presidential candidate since 1960. That's a long time ago. President Trump won, think of this one, President Trump won 18 of 19 bellwether counties. You know what a bellwether county is? It's a big deal. So I won 18 of 19, a record, never happened, that between 1980 and 2016 voted for the eventual president in every single election, and before that it was almost every election, and we won a record, 18 of 19, never lost. Nobody's ever lost with anything like that. Biden did not demonstrate coattails for the down ballot races, had no coattails. I'm shocked to hear that. In fact, he got 80 million votes, but when he made a Thanksgiving Day speech on the internet, they say he had less than 1,000 people. How do you have 80 million votes and you have 1,000 people? Now, how do you have 80 million votes and you have less than 1,000 people? With Republicans maintaining control. So here's what happened. So Biden didn't demonstrate coattails, down ballot races, but with Republicans maintaining control, first time this has ever happened, control of the Senate, winning all 27 toss-up races in the House. Kevin McCarthy, great job. Mitch, great job. Winning all 27 toss-up races in the House. Think of it. We didn't lose a seat in the House. Think of this. First time that anybody, I think in history, we didn't lose one seat. Normally you lose 2, 3, 5, and you replace. We lost nobody sitting in Congress. I worked hard in the House with Kevin McCarthy. not losing a single legislative chamber and making big gains at the state level and holding on to the Senate. I mean, look at what's happened. We better hold on to the Senate, you two. And there's never been numbers like that where a president even came close to losing. But they say we lost. The only way is they stuffed the ballot boxes. President Trump won. President Trump won, as we said, both in Florida and in Ohio. And by the way, won by a lot. Remember, remember the fake polls where they said he's down by 4 in Florida and won by a lot. He's down by 2 in Ohio, and we won. I think we got 8 or 9 or something up. No, but nobody's ever done that. Those 2 very powerful, big, important states. And the beauty is that we also won Georgia, and that was good. And we won South Carolina, and we won Iowa. Remember? We're not going to win in Iowa, they said. We're not going to win. I think the farmers like Trump a lot, right? Well, we won in Iowa by a lot. We won in Iowa by close to record numbers. I think I have the record. And we won all over the place. And many of these swing states, it's a very interesting statistic. President Obama beat Biden all over the country, except in some of the swing states where Biden beat him badly. How does that work? And they say it's statistically impossible. He beat crooked Hillary. Think of this. He beat crooked Hillary in the swing states, but she beat him everywhere else. Let me tell you, this election was rigged, and we can't let it happen to 2 of the greatest, most respected people in Washington. We can't let it happen again. Can't let it happen. Can't let it happen. Your governor could stop it very easily if he knew what the hell he was doing. He could stop it very easily. Hundreds of thousands of illegal votes were cast in each state. Far from, you look at this, hundreds of thousands more than we needed were cast in every state we're talking about, not only here, but Michigan, Pennsylvania. How about Pennsylvania, where they throw the poll watchers out? They threw them out. They literally threw them out. And they did it here too, by the way. But we caught them cold and have numerous cases pending, and so far we haven't been able to find the people with the courage to do the right thing, and that is true in Georgia certainly, but we're going to hit those people, and they're going to go down in history as great people. They're going to go down because everyone knows what took place. But we're going to talk about the presidential election a little bit later because we have a big senatorial race going on in Georgia, and we are watching Democrats very, very closely. And remember this, we had this massive race all over the country, so they could cheat in Georgia, and people aren't really watching it like they should. And, again, all I can do is say, I'm running, win, and then do a good job as president. That's all. I don't run the elections. I don't run to see if people are walking in with suitcases and putting them under a table with a black robe around it. I don't do that. That's up to your government here. And for whatever reason, your Secretary of State and your governor are afraid of Stacey Abrams. They're afraid of her. So we know the Democrats are planning to cheat, and we can't let them do it again. And we're going to pull ours out one way or the other. But we have to be vigilant because I don't want these 2 to work like I thought we were going to easily win. And that maybe for the first time in a long time, I'd go take a nice little vacation for about 2 days, and then we go back. And instead, I probably worked harder in the last 3 weeks than I've ever worked in my life doing this. And I've become friendly with legislators that I didn't know 4 weeks ago, and actually they're great people. In fact, in my pocket right here, we have a couple of them right in here. Where's Burt Jones? Where's Burt Jones? Burt. Burt, well, you're a young guy. I thought you were young, but not that young. Burt Jones, I want to thank you, Burt, for being here. You're friendly with the man next to you, right, huh? He's a man of courage. Thank you very much, Burt. I appreciate everything you're doing, and so does this big crowd. And this is a lot of people. Also, Brandon Beach, Senator Brandon Beach. Brandon, thank you for everything. We appreciate it. William Liggins. William, Where's William? Why are you so far away, William, from them? Oh, I like that group better, actually. I agree. And Greg Dozel. Where's Greg? Greg, thank you very much, Greg. We appreciate it. Really do. We appreciate it. Great people. And we said, have this brought back into your legislature, Governor. Have it brought back. Let these people make it. Keep it open, keep it transparent, and let us have a signature verification. What's wrong with that? They keep counting the same votes. I said, don't count votes. Look at the signature. You're going to find the signatures aren't what they were 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. But our two great Senate opponents, and these are two people that fight, and they're going to fight like, I don't know if you know this, but one of the people that you're fighting, I went against him, Ossoff, 4 years ago. He was against a very fine woman, Karen, who was a great woman, and he was leading by quite a bit, and we ended up beating him. He didn't even live in the district. He was running for Congress. He didn't even live in the district. So we're going to have the same thing. But Ossoff and Warnock will be total pawns of Chuck Schumer, crying Chuck. I only see him cry when the cameras are on. But he did say this. Maybe I'm hurting you when I say he did say this. If we get in, we're going to absolutely make Donald Trump's life miserable. Can you believe that? That's Chuck Schumer. He made the statement. We're going to investigate him. Oh, those investigations will go on and on. Well, they've been investigating me since the day we came down on the escalator, what turned out to be our great First Lady. We came down the escalator, right? And they spied on our campaign and lots of other things. But Nancy Pelosi, AOC, Bernie Sanders, and the lunatic radical left. That's what you're going to have. As Chuck Schumer said rather infamously, first we take Georgia, then we take America. But they don't mean take America like in a good sense. They mean bring it over to things that the people of Georgia don't want. You're not going to like it when they want to take over your farm. Gee, we own this farm too. You know, we were here also. We own this farm. Here's exactly how they will change America forever. The radical Democrats, if they get power, they will immediately abolish the Senate filibuster, allowing them to pass any bill they want and giving them free rein to ram through the most extreme left-wing agenda ever conceived, while at the same time destroying our military through a lack of funding. And by the way, tell our senators, end Section 230. End Section 230. Put it in. We put it in. I want it in the defense bill. Put it in. Because it's a national security problem. It's a big national security, so hopefully Mitch and the senators will put it in. But it's the one chance we have to bring big tech, who are vicious and violent and untruthful, to bring big tech. It's the only thing they fear is that we're going to end Section 230. So hopefully we will do it. It happens to be a politically very popular thing to do, by the way. If these people get control, their draconian military cuts will devastate Fort Benning, Fort Gordon, and the military families all across Georgia. And we would also like to save the names of the forts, if you don't mind, everybody. They have the right, you know, they put in the Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren clause, where they have the right to take all the names of our past warriors, heroes in some cases, many cases. Some turned out to be heroes in disguise, perhaps. But they want to take the names off, and they have the right to desecrate, to take down, to destroy, to demolish places in our national parks that we don't want demolished. So we have to be very careful of that. We can't let that happen. They want to put it in our military bill. Of all people, Elizabeth Warren puts that clause in the military bill. They will impose total open borders so that people can pour into our country, and they will give them free health care, free welfare, and the right to vote in your elections. You won't ever win another election as a Republican. They even want to take down the wall. You know, the wall, I won on the wall too. We won on a lot of things. Take down the wall. I heard him say it the other day. We will take down the wall. You know, we have the strongest border we've ever had now. We're almost finished with the wall. Strongest border, right, Sonny? And we built it despite, it's incredible the effect it's having. We built it despite everybody said no chance. I mean, we had a whole very powerful Democrat Party oppose me. And yesterday, I don't know if you saw it, the court just ruled that the money I took was taken legally. So at least we have a legal wall. The appeals court. So we took it and we built the wall, and we'll be finished with it very soon, but it's had a tremendous impact on illegal immigrants coming into the country. And by the way, we want people to come into our country. You see that by the vote I got. But we want people to come in legally and through merit, where they can help us. The radical Democrats will implement nationwide catch and release. You know what that is? You catch a killer, you catch a rapist, and you say, oh, thank you very much. Please give us your name. Oh, come back in 3 years. We're going to put you on trial. Oh, good. You never see them, by the way. Remember, I had that debate with Joe Biden. He said, no, they come back. Yeah, they don't come back. They don't come back. No, they don't come back. Like never. Maybe 1%, but I doubt it. That's the end of them. You let them loose in our country. I got rid of it. You think that was easy? And install sanctuary cities all across the country. That's what they want. Freeing criminal aliens and MS-13 gang members, the most vicious people. They don't like guns because it's not painful enough. They like using knives. It's true. They don't like guns. They'd rather cut somebody up. To wreak havoc and terror upon innocent families. We've moved thousands and thousands of MS-13 the hell out of our country. We moved them back to where they came from. And some we put in prison because they're too dangerous to move back, because they'll try and figure a way. You know, they're not stupid. They're vicious, but they're not stupid. Sort of like the Democrats, if you think about it. They'll confiscate privately owned firearms and share. What they will do, they will share everything with themselves, only dangerous equipment, and they will totally cut up a thing called your Second Amendment rights. They'll make Washington, D.C. a state, and many other places, guaranteeing 2, 4, or 6 additional left-wing senators. You know, they want to make numerous places states. This way you have a lot more, Louis, you can have a lot more company in Congress. You'll have another 30, 40 congressional people from places you've never even heard of. You've never even heard of. Louis Gohmert, the great Louis Gohmert. And they'll be voting against Georgia every time, completely canceling out your voice in Washington forever. Like David Perdue, I'll never forget it. You got hit by a piece of a hurricane. Remember that? The farmers got hit so hard. And I went with Sonny and with David and some other great people from Georgia. And I said, is there a way we can pay these people? They never asked for anything, and their orchards were wiped out. One of the men said this was going to be the best crop I ever had. I was a week and a half away from finally, after 10, 12 years, making some money. And a week and a half early, he gets hit by the remnants of that big hurricane from Florida. Great state, great place, but you got hit. And David, we took 100% care of those people, right? We took 100% care, yeah. With the help of Sonny Perdue, Secretary of Agriculture. And I felt so good. But I met those, I met them. There were 33 of them standing, and they were all in a line. What do you do? I have this. What? It was a tragic, and nobody wanted anything. They didn't even want it. They said if we could borrow it, they didn't want it. These are incredible people. They don't want anything. They just want a level playing field, but we took care of them. They never forgot it either. It's very interesting. I still hear from some of those people. The extreme left will pack the Supreme Court with 24 radical justices. That's the last number I heard. I used to hear it was 16. Now it's up to 24. Pretty soon you'll have another Congress. 24 radical justices instead of 9 justices that we have right now. And they want them to revolve up and down the court system so that Supreme Court justices can spend time in other locations, down the totem pole. They want to hurt the Supreme Court, and they want to hurt it very badly. And if these two don't get in, or if I don't get in these two, we got to get, the best would be all 3. Nothing will happen. All 3. But they want to destroy the sanctity of the Supreme Court, the importance of the Supreme Court, the majesty of the Supreme Court. They'll terminate religious liberty, cancel free speech, and force you to fund extreme late-term abortion. And there will be nothing to stop them. If they don't get in, there's going to be nothing to stop them. You have no idea how bad it will be. There will be nothing. I used to argue with certain people about the filibuster. I said, look, I don't like it either, but I do it because I know they're going to do it. And everybody said, oh, they'll never do it. They're doing it. They've already announced they're going to do it. That means they can do anything they want. And you know, the Republicans, they play a different game. I don't know, maybe they love the country more. But they said, no, they'll never do it. And I said, with Schumer, he'll do it the first day he gets in, he'll do it. And that's exactly what's happening, and he'll do it, and he will do that to the Supreme Court, there's no question, but they look forward to it. Because you know why? We put on think of this, three great justices, and we'll be over 300 federal judges in the United States, which will be a record. 300. And they don't want to wait. They want to do it very quickly. Let's just vote and we'll take it. You know, this takes years and years and years to slowly change the court. And perhaps I got a little bit lucky to get three. A lot of presidents have had none. They've never had. They stay on for a long time. They're young when they go on and they're old when they come off. But the fact is, a lot of presidents, good presidents, great presidents, they say you can't be a great president unless you put in Supreme Court justices. They say it's the single most important thing a president can do. And I'm not sure that's right. I think military defense, military offense, frankly, is the most important thing. But it's certainly one of the most important things you can do. And the fact that I will have by the end, more than 300, first term, think of it. And if we do a second term, which I hope we do, we could have close to 540. But the fact that I had 3 Supreme Court justices in the first term is not making them feel too good. They will unilaterally surrender to China. They're already doing it. They're already doing it. And, you know, Hunter made a lot of money in China. What's he going to do? Sending our factories and our jobs overseas. They will raise your taxes. We lowered your taxes. We gave you the greatest tax decrease, tax cut in the history of our country. And they want to get rid of that and raise your taxes and raise your regulations. We cut more regulations than any president in the history of our country. That's one of the reasons our business came back. You know, with the pandemic, as bad as it is, it's horrible. Should have never happened. China allowed this to happen. Should have never happened. But, you know, we went down less. A lot of people don't like to talk our economy. We went down less, and we went up more than any other country in the world. We went down less because we had a good foundation. And yesterday again, so now I thought it was 48. It's actually 128 times. Can you believe it? We set a new stock market record. But this one was great because the Dow Jones Industrial Average think of this, over 30,000 for the first time ever over the last couple of weeks. And yesterday was 30,200. Can you believe this? And this is during hopefully what will be, we're rounding the turn, we're rounding the corner on the pandemic, but this is during a pandemic. We broke 30,000, a number that was unthinkable when I first came. When I first came in at around 16,000, the concept of hitting a 30,000 Dow was not even possible. And we not only hit it, can you imagine if we didn't get hit by this freak, this total freak that came into our country? Can you imagine if we didn't get hit? But you know, in a way, and I thought of this before, David, in a way we did this sort of twice. We took it from the time I came in to the time we got hit, and nobody's blaming us for that. Every country, 188, got hit. Some were totally devastated. I don't know if they ever recover. But if you think about it, we had 2. We did it the first time. We went up from where I took it over, way up, then it went down. Then we had a second. So we really had 2. And now we're going to get money because we want the money. First of all, these states and cities should open up. They should open up. And we're working hard against the Democrats, but we're working hard to get some money out to the people because they need it. It's not their fault that they got hit with something from China. And you notice the way the Democrats like to say, it came from Italy. No, it came from China. And that's okay to say it. They like to say it came from Europe. No, actually, well, specifically, it came from Italy. Italy's saying, what did we do? They'll wage war on American energy, absolutely decimating Georgia's middle class. Your bills will go up. Not a huge energy producer, but Texas. Remember they said, Trump will lose Texas by a lot. I said, wait a minute. I'm in favor of energy. I'm the one that built. We have the greatest energy we've ever had. And it all happened this period of time. So you're telling me that I'm going to lose Texas to a guy that's against fracking, against energy, against religion, and against guns. You tell me that? I end up winning Texas by so much. Somebody said, we don't even know how much. And we knew that before, but it's fake news. They said Wisconsin. A poll came out, Washington Post, ABC, just before the election. I'm going to lose Wisconsin by 17 points. I said, no, I'm going to win Wisconsin. Well, actually, I won Wisconsin. They're trying to say he's a little down, but I actually won. But that's called suppression. That's called a suppression poll. That's a poll that's so devastating. When I asked one of the pollsters, I said, why did they go so far? Why don't they just say 4 or 5? Because in 4 years, they're going to lose all respect. They don't care. They'll do anything to win. They'll do anything to beat you. They don't care. These people are sick. 17 points, and we actually won. Remember, so many of the states, I won every one of them. Every one of these states. And by the way, the swing states that we're all fighting over now, I won them all by a lot. I won them all by a lot. And I have to say, if I lost, I'd be a very gracious loser. If I lost, I would say I lost, and I'd go to Florida, and I'd take it easy, and I'd go around, and I'd say I did a good job. But you can't ever accept when they steal and rig and rob. Can't accept. Well, the Democrats did try to steal the presidency. They're trying like hell. Do you ever notice the fake news? Today he's appointing his this, his that, Sonny, his Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny. I like Sonny. We want Sonny. He was a great governor here for 8 years, right? You would have solved this problem in about 2 hours, Sonny. He would have said, let the legislature open, let the vote, let us be transparent on signatures. I think that's okay. But we're working hard to ensure that it doesn't happen, and now they're trying to steal these 2 important Senate seats from Georgia. And these seats are the last line of defense to save America and protect all that we have accomplished. And you know, we've accomplished things that no other president has accomplished, no other administration. And I did it with these 2 people. I didn't know Kelly. When Kelly came in, I didn't really know what to think. There is nobody that fought harder for me. And I have to tell you this. I'll tell you, mind me tell you like publicly. Is that okay? There is nobody. David understands this too. She fought. What a trooper. She was so tough and smart. She even went against Mitt Romney. She didn't like Mitt Romney too much. She said, I won't say what she said, but it was tough. But she is, we call him kryptonite. You know, anything he touches, they lose. But you were so great, and I'll not forget it. And David's been my friend for a long time, for a long, long time. And there's nobody in Washington that's more respected than David Perdue. There's nobody. There's nobody. So we have to keep that. If the other side manages to steal both elections, we will have total one-party socialist control, and everything you care about will be gone. Your whole philosophy is going to be gone. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, crying Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. They want to take away your guns. I never got it. I never got it. That's one of the reasons I knew. How can you win? No oil, no guns, no God. Oh, they won. I don't think so. Okay, I don't think so. We knew that a long time ago. They want to take away your jobs, take away your borders, take away your freedom, take away your religion, and they even want to take away your beautiful Christmas that we just got back. I have to be very careful. You know, when I sort of imitate that, right? You remember I was saying suburban women? I say, suburban women, love me. Please love me. I've been so good to you. I've been so good to you. I got rid of the worst regulation in the history of suburbia. I got rid of that regulation, so now you can actually have a house without a building going up next to it that you're not going to be happy about. Without crime increasing by tenfold and this and that. So I said, but suburban women, please, please love me. And CNN put me on. Donald Trump is begging. He's begging and crying for the vote of suburban women, right? These people are sick. So you have to be very careful when you're sarcastic. Sarcasm doesn't work. Sarcasm doesn't work with the... Wow, that is a big group of people back there. Look at that. The fake news. Whoa. That's a big group. That is a lot of fake news. Well, now we call it the fake news and suppression news. I use the word suppression because now they got a new thing going. This happened since Hunter. Because we were killing him on Hunter, you know, stealing money from every country. He was a human vacuum cleaner. And it was hurting them badly. So all of a sudden, big tech, together with their partner, the Democrats, and their partner, the fake news media, they decide, under no circumstances will we ever talk about it again. So you have 95% of the media, you could have them be Jesse James and walk into the bank with a gun, hold them up, give me all your money, and they won't talk about it. And it's hard to have a scandal if they don't talk about it. Other than the New York Post and people like Sean Hannity and people like Laura, and Tucker is doing good. I like Tucker lately. And our friends in the morning, and I tell you, we have some great new people. OAN, Newsmax. And Judge Jeanine, she's on, right? She's on tonight. And Jesse Waters is great, and Pete Hegseth. And I'm in trouble because I don't mention everybody, but we have great people. We have a great voice, but the fact is, most of the press was suppressed, so that no matter what, they wouldn't talk. And it was incredible. And I have to give a lot of credit to Carl Allen and the New York Post for what they did, because they went out and they fought them, and they fought them hard. Oldest paper in America, fourth or fifth biggest, and they should be very proud of themselves. But we're doing the same thing. These two incredible people are doing the same thing. We fight. If you don't get out and vote, they are going to win. Now, you know, a lot of people, friends of mine, say, let's not vote. We're not going to vote because we're angry about the presidential election. And they're friends of mine. They are people that are great people. They're real friends, and more than just two. There are numerous people. And it's almost like a protest. But if you do that, the radical left wins, okay? It was sort of an instinct of mine. You know, you're angry because so many votes were stolen, it was taken away. And you say, well, we're not going to do it. We can't do that. We have to actually do just the opposite. We can't do that. We can't do that. We have to do just the opposite. If you don't vote, the socialists and the communists win. They win. Georgia patriots must show up and vote for these two incredible people. And I'm telling you, they're two of the finest people you'll ever meet. We can fight for the presidency and fight to elect our two great senators, and we can do it at the same time. We'll do it at the same time. It's all right. The election is about David Perdue, one of the greats, Kelly Loeffler, a person who is just unbelievable, how she picked it up. No, but, you know, this natural talent. I always say, as an athlete, I'd always say, would you rather practice or have natural talent? I said, the best is both, right? But she's got a great natural talent, just very respected. But they believe, both of them, in America, and they believe in our values and all that we stand for, and they understand this state. They love your state. If they didn't, I wouldn't be here, because I love your state too, by the way. This election is about the radical left movement that hates America and wants to erase our history and wipe away everything that we hold dear. They want to rip down our statues. You know, I signed a bill. I took an old bill, because we could never get it today in the House, headed by Crazy Nancy. I took an old bill that said 10 years in prison. They used the word prison, not jail. 10 years in prison if you take down a statue. I haven't seen it happen lately. Do you notice? Everyone said, you can't use that. I'll never forget. I heard they were going to, they did destruction around, and all in radical left Democrat-run cities, by the way. And we're not supposed to go in. I don't know. If I had it to do again, I think I would have sent the military in. You want to know the truth? But we're not supposed to. They're supposed to be able to handle their own affairs. I don't know. But all over, they said, sir, you can't do this, Bill. This is too tough. I said, really? They're going to tear down a statue of Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, desecrate the most beautiful pieces of art, and they represent our country. And now they want to do it again. They want to put it in. I told you we can't let it happen. Over the last 4 years, David Perdue has been one of the toughest fighters for our America First agenda in Washington. And David saw this. Did you see last week? China said, China doesn't like me too much. They pay us billions and billions. That never happened. Billions and billions of dollars in tariffs. And they pay it. They devalued their currency. They paid a lot of money. They don't like me. The happiest people in the world right now are the leaders of China. The second happiest are the leaders of Iran. What we would have done in the next 4 years, we would have been on a footing like nobody's ever, and now we're giving it all away. But China said, we will not deal with you unless you get rid of the America First policy. And you know what the Democrats said? They said, yes, we will do that. Can you believe this? And that's when I realized what a brilliant name that is. We come up with some good ones, but that's a good one. We came up with plenty of good ones, haven't we? Some of them I won't use because some of those people are now friends of mine, but we came up with some good ones. But America First, and I looked at Melania a week ago and I said, can you believe it? They are saying that they don't agree with America First. How do you say that? I mean, how do you say it? We don't agree with America First. We agree with China. Yes, we will get rid of America First policy. I think, David, you don't like that too much, right? And if they're here, it won't happen because nothing's going to be able to get passed that's not going to be reasonable. He fought to pass the largest package, David, of tax cuts and reforms in American history. He helped lead the effort to repeal a record number of job-killing regulations, the likes of which you've never seen, including the unfair Waters of the United States rule that crippled work for our farmers and our builders. It's such a beautiful name, but it was destroying people. And I'll never, Waters of the United, how beautiful is that? Waters of the United States. And I said, I got to get rid of it. I got to do it, but I'm going to get killed. Because the only thing good about it was the title, Waters. What are you doing today? I'm terminating Waters of the United States. Well, it was a little bit like the Paris Environmental Accord, right? The Paris Environmental Accord. I said, I'm going to get killed in this one. But we would have paid trillions and trillions of dollars. Russia has a big advantage of us. They go back to old days when the air was very dirty. That was their standard. China doesn't kick in until 2030. We kick in immediately. And the money that would have cost us, and if we adhered to it, we would have had to close up 20% of our factories. And now, the first thing they want to do, John Kerry, great negotiator, the first thing they want to do is they want to, number one, they want to bring back the Paris Accord, Environmental Accord, which will cost us. That was designed to destroy the United States. The second thing they want to do is let's give Iran billions of dollars. Oh, they're so happy. Iran would have been in my office in the first hour after we won the election to make a deal. But perhaps they still will. He said they still will. After Hurricane Michael devastated our farmers in southwest Georgia, as I said, no one worked harder to get them relief than David Perdue. He would call me all the time. He actually called me more than Sonny, and Sonny said agriculture. What the hell's going on, Sonny? Sonny, what happened to you, Sonny? It's true. David would call all the time. And remember how tough the Democrats made? They didn't want to give him anything. But we got it. We got him more than they even thought possible. Senator Perdue helped pass the unprecedented $2.5 trillion investment in our United States military. military in the history of our country. We have brand new fighter jets, brand new bombers, brand new missiles and rockets, hypersonic missiles. We have hypersonic and hydrosonic. You know what hydrosonic is? Water. We have them all. We have missiles that go 7 times faster than any. We have no ammunition. We had a little problem with a certain country. And he said, sir, we have no ammunition. I said, tell me you're not saying that. We didn't have ammunition. Think of it. We had very little ammunition. And I'll never forget that statement. I said, that should never happen to a president of the United States again, nor should being spied on ever happen to a president of the United States again. Senator Perdue has been a tremendous leader on pro-American immigration reform like nobody else. He voted very powerfully when I was going through hell on the wall. They would have given me anything. They gave me the money for the military. They just didn't want to give me money for the wall, so I took it out of the military. What the hell could I do? That was rather good. It's good to be a developer every once in a while. That was the one where the judges ruled yesterday, so they said it was fine because I called it national security. So we took it out of the military. They didn't figure that one out. Now they do. But you know what? They have to be careful because it's turned out to be very popular and very successful. Shut down sanctuary cities, end chain migration, and protect American jobs, David did. He voted to confirm nearly 300 of the judges that I talked about, the federal judges that interpret the Constitution as written. And when the Democrat mob came for Judge Kavanaugh, David Perdue stood strong. And, you know, I'm just thinking they both stood strong when they impeached your president for making a perfect phone call, too. I'm the only president ever, that got impeached for making a perfect phone call. But those two were among the best. Senator Perdue is an outsider, a businessman, a great businessman, and a true American patriot. You need him fighting for you and your family and your values because the United States Senate cannot be the same without him. So that's why I'm here. You know, I don't do these things for other people. In fact, I was curious. I didn't know if anyone was going to show up. I said, I'm doing it for other people. This is a hell of a crowd. Look, as far as the eye can see. As far as the eye can see. I don't like doing it for other people. I said, David and Kelly called, would you do a rally? I said, not really. I did 56 of them in a little tiny period of time. I said, let me have, and I said, when they asked, it was really not. But, you know, I don't do them for other people. It's a lot of work to do a rally. A lot of work. People don't realize when you do, I did 5 a day the last 4 or 5 days. One day I did 6. 6. And the smallest one, think of it, the smallest one at 25,000 people. You think that's fun? In some of them, it's 75 degrees, and in others, it's 20 degrees below zero, and you're doing them both. I'm saying, how's the weather out there? Sir, it's about 20 degrees below zero. That's good. Then I land the next stop. How are we doing? Sir, it's 82. David's opponent, John Ossoff, is a radical left-wing zealot who is very proud to be endorsed by Bernie Sanders, Crazy Bernie. Ossoff supports defunding the police, supports the crazy Green New Deal. That's another beauty. Don't forget, the Green New Deal is really $100 trillion, okay? It's $100 trillion. They don't say that, Louis, do they? They talk about $3 trillion. It got down to $3 trillion. No, it's $100 trillion is what they wanted. That's more money. If our economy was going unbelievable gangbusters for 100 years, no recession, no anything, we couldn't come close to making $100 trillion. They want to rip down buildings and rebuild them with no windows. I like windows. I like big, beautiful windows. He wants to do a total government takeover of health care that will destroy your doctor's offices and rural hospitals. So if you're sick, if you have a cold, go to a hospital, wait online for about 3 days, and hope you get a decent doctor. Ossoff also supports a crippling nationwide lockdown. He wants you to lock your home nice and tight after you're inside of it. And he passes legislation to let hardened criminals go free. Get them out of jail. Get them out of jail. Ossoff will be a complete tool for the radical left donors who are trying to buy Georgia's Senate seats you see the money these people have raised? I mean, it's really, it's very, well, of course, I just raised $250 million, and I should say. I didn't raise it, it just came. I said, how are we doing on that front? You know, because we didn't get great publicity. Boy, they were so happy, these guys. You might not be happy in a few weeks, you know, you might not. No, they were so happy. I said, how's fundraising going? They said, sir, about 250 million. I said, 250 million what? Dollars. How the hell did that happen? Because people believe in what we're doing, that's why. They believe in what we're doing. But that's why ASOS donations come from Silicon Valley, San Francisco, and the other liberal places, and they don't come from Georgia. This is not your fault. I know you. You're with me. I'm with you. We've always had wins from primaries to 2 elections. We won 2 elections, believe it or not. I think I won the second one by more than I won the first one. I do, right? Bill, I won the second one by more. On January 5th, you also need to vote for your incredible Republican Senator, Kelly Loeffler. Kelly has been an exceptional champion for Georgia's workers and families, and I know what they fight for. I could tell you about David, I could tell you about Kelly. She fights for you every single day, loves your state. When our nation was hit with the China virus, Senator Loeffler helped rescue the U.S. economy by voting to pass a historic $3 trillion bill, relief for American workers and families, and a lot of people were against it, and it turned out to be a great thing, Kelly. Thank you. A lot of people said, oh, it's too much. I said, it's not their fault, and I want to get them more money now, and I like the higher number rather than the lower number. We'll make it back. With her help, we secured $15 billion for 175,000 Georgia small businesses and saved 1.5 million Georgia jobs. That was both of them, really, both of them. Kelly is a relentless advocate for Georgia farmers, and she has fought tirelessly to get them relief in this pandemic. And by the way, her husband is a fine man who's one of the most respected men in the country. I want to tell you that. I want to tell you that. He's a great man. He's a great gentleman. At the urging of, if you're successful today, it's supposed to be a bad thing. No, I think it means you're smart sometimes, right? He's a smart guy, but he's a great guy. He's a great man. At the urging of Kelly and David, my administration took historic action to protect growers of Georgia blueberries, peppers, squash, and cucumbers. Who does cucumbers around here? Because I like cucumbers. I'm the only one. I like cucumbers. When our law enforcement heroes were under attack, Senator Loeffler stood up to the Marxists and introduced legislation to protect our brave men and women in blue, and she was threatened all over the place. That threat meant nothing. That was a wasted number of phone calls, or however the hell they threatened you. That was a waste of time. She also introduced legislation to prevent Democrat gun grabbers like Beto O'Rourke. Remember Beto? Beto. There's a guy, has another one. He wants to take your guns away. Oh, by the way, Trump is going to lose Texas, but Beto O'Rourke, who's a big factor in that whole thing, wants to take. Remember when Beto was running, he was riding high, and then Ted Cruz, who's done a great job, beat Beto O'Rourke. But Beto was riding high for a while. And remember he was on the cover of a certain really bad magazine. I won't mention the name. It's failing. It won't be in business for another 6 months, I don't think. I hope. But he was on the cover, and he said, I was born to do this. And I said, anybody that says they were born to do this, they're going to be losing very quickly. And you know what? Within about 2 months, he was a stone-cold loser. And just weeks ago, Senator Loeffler cast her vote to confirm our newest Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett. They both did, by the way. They both did. I can't leave David out of that one. Kelly's opponent, Raphael Warnock, is a dangerous extremist who is radically opposed to your values. He said he believes that, quote, nobody can serve God and the military. Oh, really? An appalling statement that dishonors the memory and generations of American heroes who fought for God and for our country. Raphael Warnock has openly declared his support for socialism, and he has even praised Marxists all over the world. He once hosted the barbaric communist dictator Fidel Castro. He likes Castro. Thinks he was a good man. He was a good guy, he said. He falsely slandered patriotic Americans as racists. He called police officers gangsters, thugs, and bullies. He supports abolishing cash bail. Look at what happened to New York with their cash bail. No cash bail, no bail, don't worry about it. You killed somebody, don't worry about it, you know. You're on the honor code. And he's declared, quote, open up the jails, free the violent criminals, and prey on Georgia, families, children. No, you can't do that. This is not for Georgia, I'm telling you. It might be for some places, and I tell you that too. This is not for Georgia. I think Raphael has to move to another state. Try it again. Warnock is strongly anti-Israel, and Warnock's own writings make clear that he believes America is a sinister nation that must be punished. Don't just take my word for it. We did something, I shouldn't be doing this for them. It costs too much money, but we'll do it anyway. We have a little video to play, please.
Senator Sanders, Senator Warren, and myself are all on the same team. What are you willing to sacrifice to make sure that overfunded police departments are defunded?
There is no middle road on the climate crisis.
I not only support a Green New Deal, I don't think it goes far enough. I'm all for a Green New Deal. This is part of what gun registration is about. We want to track where the guns are. We need to cut the defense budget.
Popeyes or Chick-fil-A?
Oh, Popeye!
Are you in favor of expanding the court or perhaps an age limit in place instead of a lifetime appointment?
Look, I've said everything is on the table.
But if we win the majority, everything is on the table.
Now we take Georgia, then we change America. Change is coming to America.
The blue wave is comprised of those who are documented and undocumented.
We win these races in Georgia so that we don't have to negotiate.
That's their goal. Total radical control to bring horrific change to America. Only Georgians can stop them.
Nobody can serve God and the military.
Raphael Warnock attacks our military.
Police power, the kind of gangster and thug mentality.
Warnock attacks our police.
Somebody's got to open up the jails.
Raphael Warnock is dangerous. No wonder he defended this.
Not God bless America, God America.
Now my hope is that in early January, Democrats will pick up 2 more seats in the Georgia runoffs, and that will make our life a lot easier.
We need to send a message this year. We need to send a message that if you indulge this kind of politics, you're not just going to get beaten. You're going to get beaten so bad you can never run or show your face again in public. Because we have had enough, absolutely enough, of what we are getting from Donald Trump and his fellow travelers right now. You're not just going to get beaten. You're going to get beaten so bad you can never run or show your face again in public.
So we had, I just looked at that one scene because it was in Washington, and we had about a month ago incredible crowds of people. They were angry as hell at the election, and they showed up, and it was incredible. Hundreds of thousands of people. People couldn't believe. Now, of course, some of the fake news said hundreds of people are here. No. Tens of thousands of people. And you know, Antifa showed up. Not the right, but the left showed up. And they looked at some of these people and they wanted to attack the crowd. They looked and they said, no, thank you. And they left. No problem. They looked at some of these people. They said, no, thank you. Then it broke up about 3 o'clock. Everyone went home very peacefully. It was a beautiful day, actually. They all went home peacefully. And that night they came back. And there were a few families that stayed around with young children. And there were some elderly people that were having dinner in Washington, very elderly people. And they got attacked. Those people got attacked viciously by the scum from Antifa. We can't let this happen. We can't let this happen. But what they didn't play, what the fake news didn't play, is during the day they walked in and they wanted to do some damage, and they took a look and they said, no thank you, we won't do it. We'll wait. We'll wait till we get the people with the children. We'll wait till we get the elderly people that want to stay in Washington and really just have a good time. And it was disgusting to watch. On January 5th, you must defeat Ossoff and Warnock and send two great people, David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, back to the Senate. And if you don't mind, I'd like to ask David and Kelly to come up and say a few words, please.
Thank you, Georgia. Thank you, Mr. President. President Trump, you made America great again because you put America first. Thank you. President Trump created the strongest economy because he put the American worker first. He stood up, that's right, he stood up to the cancel culture, China, big tech, the fake news. We are standing strong for President Trump because he's fought for us every single day. Every day. Georgia, we need you to vote January 5th. If you're our voice on January 5th, we'll be your voice for years. We have to make sure that we keep America strong. Thank you. Well, you know what? My colleague, David Perdue, my good friend, wants to make sure that you vote. We are going to vote because if we don't vote, we will lose the country. If we vote, we will win.
Hey guys, I want to take liberty just 1 second. I want to say something personal to President Trump. Hey guys, I want to say something for President Trump personally. Guys, I want to say something personal for President Trump. God bless you. We love you, Mr. President. We love the First Lady. And we're going to fight and win those 2 seats and make sure you get a fair, square deal in the state of Georgia. God bless you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, folks. Thank you. Thank you. We're fighting. We're going to fight like you never saw before. Thank you. We can't let what happened 3 weeks ago, we can't let it happen. It's beyond me. We can't let it happen. And somewhere there's going to be a champion, your champion. Somewhere there's going to be a champion that's going to do what's right, because this has been going on for a long time, but never like it's happened recently. And you know, they've used the pandemic and the phony fake ballots, the mail-in ballots, they use that to sabotage a country. We're not going to let it happen. As you know, a major issue in this state is voter fraud. It's been a big issue for a long time, but never like this. We sent out tens of thousands, millions and millions of ballots. Nobody knew where they came from, where they are. People were getting 2, 3, 4 ballots. They were signing them, sending them in. What a mess. And I said it a year ago, and I said it every month. And I even said, let's postpone the election. And they said, oh, he's not an American. You know, they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. We're all deeply disturbed and upset by the lying, cheating, robbing, stealing that's gone on with our elections. We know the Democrats will have dead people voting, and you got to watch it. Dead people, you wouldn't believe how many, illegal aliens from out of the state, and they'll be filing out and filling out ballots for people who don't even exist. They put up names. They have people signing their own name over and over. They have people signing names with the same pen, with the same signature. They don't even change because they know once they get it in, it'll never be looked at. It'll never be looked at again because of people like your Secretary of State and your governor. So we want signature verification, but the answer, and we're going to be very careful. We're going to watch every ballot, David and Kelly. We can't let this happen again. And again, we have more light shining here because of what happened and because of the fact it's pinpointed. The answer to the Democrat fraud is not to stay at home. That's what Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, that's what they want you to do. Stay at home. Just stay at home. If you want to do something to them, I don't want to use the word revenge, but it is a certain revenge. To the Democrats, you show up and vote in record numbers. That's what you have to do. They can only win if they cheat. They can't win this state unless they cheat. And they cheat better than anybody. You know, when you think of it, the Republicans are much nicer. They're not nearly as vicious. Maybe a few of us. Republicans are too nice, he said. You're right. That's a very good, thank you very much. I like that. But they are, they're too nice. They don't go after these criminals. They got to go after them. We're talking to people, go after them. They don't go after them. They're afraid they'll hurt their reputation when they get out. I don't know. They don't go after them. But we're watching this so closely. We have everybody watching. You got to get out and vote. Let them steal Georgia again. You'll never be able to look yourself in the mirror. We have to hold the line. And you have two of the greatest people on earth. We have to hold the line. Make sure that you and everyone else know that you have to register to vote before this Monday, December 7th. Is that right? Monday, December 7th. You have to register to vote. Of course, you'll probably be allowed to if you're a Democrat. You know, they don't have any time limits. Did you see where Stacey is allowed to harvest, but other people can't harvest? How is that constitutional? How is that constitutional? Has anybody looked at that? Go to georgia.gov and register immediately, then request your absentee ballot before December 31st. Don't delay. Watch it closely. Do it today. Do it tomorrow. And return your ballot the same day you get it. So they can't say, gee, it didn't come in on time. You know what they did in one of the states? Ballots were coming in late. Very, very late. So they backdated the ballots. We have all the information. We have so much evidence. And then you go to a court. Oh, they don't have enough evidence. We have hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of affidavits. And they say, he doesn't have the evidence. We have so much evidence, we don't know what to do with it. I'm saying, do we put all of this into a filing? It's like with wheelbarrows. If you aren't planning to vote by mail, vote early in person or vote on election day, whatever you do. I need each of you, every one of you, your friends, your family, to go and vote. And after we win, we need to pass landmark election reform, including voter ID. Is that so bad? Residency verification, like we live in the country, we live in the state. Citizenship confirmation. They want to say, oh, he doesn't have to be a citizen. You got to see what's voting. They're not citizens. You're a citizen? No, I'm not a citizen. You speak English? No, no English. Speak no English. Oh, you're voting. Yeah. Why not? This is the craziest thing. You know, the Democrat National Committee had their convention, and they had a picture. You couldn't get in unless you had a picture. You had a photo ID. But when it comes to the most important thing, voting, they don't want to do it. And they know. They know exactly. We just can't let that happen. I've only been doing this for a short time. Believe me, this is something we're going to do because we can't allow it to happen. And complete overhaul of our election security systems, because right now, Dominion is a joke, okay? Not a very funny joke. It's a disgrace that in 2020, no state in America even makes any real attempt to verify that those who cast ballots by mail are eligible and lawfully registered voters. The evidence of fraud is overwhelming, and again, I'm going to ask you to look up at that very, very powerful and very expensive screen. I do this for a few people. Let's go.
We certainly want transparency. What he saw is what we revealed to you last night on this program, what appears to be Atlanta, Georgia ballot counters being told to leave the counting room. Then a short time later, with no observers, with no media, hidden cases of possible ballots are rolled out from under a table. 4 people, under a cloud of suspicion, begin what looks an awful lot like ballot stuffing.
And the media did pack up and leave at 11:15, but there weren't observers there at that time, and there was no announcement made for anyone to leave.
Now, wait a second here. That is disheveled Fulton County Elections Chief Richard Barron, but he doesn't have the facts right. The video proves it. At 10:40 p.m., not 11:15, 10:40, the media is packing up. A half hour before he thinks they leave. You can see them putting on their jackets there. And by 10:56, they are long gone. And the Trump team has sworn witness testimony, claiming an announcement was most certainly made. In fact, even CNN reported the counting was being shut down due to a water main break that even election administrators now acknowledge was a leaky toilet. So someone had to tell those people to leave. And if you look at this table, there are ballots in boxes open and ready for counting. Now watch as they get packed up. Why would you need to secure them and then ultimately take out the mysterious ballots from under the table to start counting? It just doesn't add up. Elections Board member Dr. Kathleen Ruth shows her skepticism in that Zoom call this morning with the elections chief.
It is interesting that these ballots were under a table versus being in the open.
Well, I think there's a. I don't know that I think those ballot boxes get heavy. I don't think they want to be lifting those things up and putting them back down.
He makes no sense. The guy's scratching his head. He just looks nervous. The guy does not inspire confidence. There were already ballots out, but even almost 24 hours since I posted what could be, quote, smoking gun video of election fraud, a video now with 2.5 million views as of right now on my Twitter feed, the head of elections, whose ballot counters are now being accused of ballot stuffing, declares this.
I'll have to review. I need to review the video. I have not seen the video.
Please do. Please do is right. He hasn't watched the video that could upend the presidential election, and the guy in charge of the very people in the room admits he didn't watch the video before updating board members this morning. That's insanity. And yet, Fulton County still certified the election. But you know who did watch our video? Our viewers, Stinchfield's Army. One directed me to this moment in the video. The woman in purple, after putting ballots in to be scanned, it appears to take the same batch of ballots out, straighten them, and then look what she does with them. She reinserts them back into the ballot counting machine again. The same set of ballots. Now, there may or may not be an explanation for this, but it certainly needs to be investigated by law enforcement, as the greatest political heist in election history may have just been caught on camera.
Evidence of election fraud mounts as the mainstream media and Democrats loudly insist Joe Biden is still the 2020 winner. However, numerous whistleblowers are coming forward with credible information that hundreds of thousands of votes for President Trump mysteriously disappeared on election night. On Tuesday, Jesse Morgan, a worker for the U.S. Postal Service, revealed that his trailer full of ballots simply went missing after he dropped them off. The worker drove his truck from Bethpage, New York, all the way to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and says he was carrying some 288,000 completed mail-in ballots. Phil Klein, the director of the legal group Thomas More Society Amistad Project, says they have many more testimonies from whistleblowers with similar stories. The project is working to discover flaws and even expose cases of voting fraud in the 2020 election, and has already uncovered serious examples of voting irregularities. Backing up President Trump's warnings, Klein explains that the post office was rife with fraud and that many Postal Service workers were taking part in widespread illegal efforts to undermine the election. While the missing truck full of ballots is bad enough, other whistleblowers say they drove thousands of pre-filled ballots right over state lines, which is a federal crime. A subcontractor for the post office, Nathan Pease, said that he was told by 2 separate postal workers that the post office in Wisconsin had collected and backdated over 100,000 ballots on the morning after the election. Unsurprisingly, others also claimed the integrity of Dominion voting machines has been compromised and cannot be trusted. During a press conference in Arlington, Virginia on Tuesday, the project explained that election officials in blue jurisdictions have failed to maintain the ballot chain of custody, which leaves the door wide open for voting fraud. The project said it has photographic evidence of people improperly accessing voting machines and eyewitness accounts on how the seals on ballot hard drives were illegally tampered with and broken. Klein says that in total, there are over 300,000 fraudulent ballots in Arizona, 548,000 in Michigan, 204,000 in Georgia, and 121,000 in Pennsylvania. Based on this evidence, the FBI has reportedly requested to look at the project's data on voting integrity and potential election fraud. Pearson Sharp, One America News.
So, if you just take the crime of what those Democrat workers were doing, and by the way, there was no water main break. You know, they said there was no water main break. That's 10 times more than I need to win this state. 10 times more. It's 10 times, maybe more than that, but it's 10 times more because we lost by a very close number. The alleged Biden margin of victory in several states is entirely accounted for by extraordinarily large midnight vote dumps. You saw them with going up to the sky. All extremely skewed to Biden. Like Biden would get 10,000 votes and Trump would get 3 in a Trump area. Oh. For example, at 6:31 a.m. in Michigan, reported 141,238 votes for Joe Biden and 5,900 votes for Donald Trump. 96% for Biden, 4% for Trump, in an area where I should be doing quite well. You know, I won almost every county in Michigan, almost every district. It was, except for one. And they actually had more people. If you look at the ballots, they had ballots all over. They had more ballots than they had people voting. How do you do that? So they had people, and they're voting. And then, as you know, 2 of the canvassers were very brave. They didn't vote, and they got the hell knocked out of them from the standpoint of what they went through. They took, all the cameras went off, and then they raised their hand, but then they couldn't sign it ultimately. But more ballots than they had voters. Now, how simple is that? A similar vote dump occurred in Wisconsin at 3:42 a.m. This is 3:42 in the morning. In fact, when I went to bed that night, everybody was calling, congratulations, you're up 600,000 votes in Pennsylvania. Across all of the key swing states, there were impossibly low rejection rates. You saw that. For mail-in ballots, drastically less than the historic norm. In Georgia, 0.5% of the mail-in ballots were rejected in 2020 compared to 5.77%. That's a difference of 11 times more. It's hundreds of thousands of votes. In Pennsylvania, 0.03% were rejected in 2020 compared to a much, much higher percentage in 2016. This issue alone is enough to change the election results in many states. Whistleblowers, and that's the smallest of the issues. Whistleblowers in multiple states have testified to witnessing postal workers and election workers illegally backdating thousands and thousands of ballots, fixing ballots, filling out false birthdays, registering ineligible voters, and much, much more. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of votes in each state. In Arizona, a sample of 100 ballots reviewed by a judge found that a very small percentage of these ballots, very small, but when you look at it, turned out to be very large. It was tens of thousands of votes, more than we would have needed to win Arizona. We should have won that state very easily. We have a similar type of governor, I think, but I'll let you know that in about a week. In one Michigan county, and by the way, when Laura Ingraham interviewed your governor, he said he was an offensive lineman. I said, that's strange. He doesn't look like an offensive lineman to me. In one Michigan county using Dominion voting systems, nearly 6,000 votes were discovered that were wrongly switched from Trump to Biden. They called it a glitch. You know a glitch? That's like the machine broke. Numerous times we found glitches, and every single time the glitch went 100% to Biden and no percent to Trump. The same systems are used in 30 states. The left lies, they cheat and they steal. They are ruthless, and they are hell-bent on getting power and control by any means necessary. They investigate you and they prosecute you. The moment you question them, they try and intimidate you. They call you a poor American. You're not a good American. You don't love our country. They don't love our country. They beat you down, shut you up, and make you retreat. That's what they do. That's what they've done to your governor. They've done that to your governor. Your governor should be ashamed of himself. That's what they want to do right here in Georgia. They want you to be quiet. They want you to go away, but we don't go away. We don't go away. It's the biggest open secret in America that Democrats cheat in elections. This year, by sending out 65 million mail-in ballots, they perpetrated the largest fraud in the history of our country. Democrat officials and politicians in every swing state systematically weakened every measure to combat election fraud. They ensured that there were no identity checks, no signature checks. I want to check a signature, please. I'm sorry, we don't let you do that. No eligibility checks, no nothing. Every single one of you know that if these ballots are properly audited, if the signatures and envelopes were examined, if the envelopes were correlated to the votes, because you'll find there are far more ballots than there are envelopes. All you have to do is count them up. How many ballots do you have? How many envelopes do you have? And if the voter rolls are studied, in other words, studied to check the signature, Ms. Smith, oh, it's a totally different signature from 2 years ago, from 6 years ago, from 10 years ago. What's that all about? We will find that hundreds of thousands of ballots were illegally cast in your state and all over the country, by the way. More than enough to give us a total historic victory. This is our country that they are and you know this and you see it, but they're trying to take it from us through rigging, fraud, deception, and deceit. That's what we saw in the election. That's what's going on, and it's happening right now in our country. And we will do something about it, and we're going to do something about it quickly. And we're going to be watching on January 5th. We're going to be watching every element of what they do, this fraud that they've perpetrated on our country. We're going to be watching it more closely than any election has ever been watched. Hopefully our legislatures and the United States Supreme Court will step forward and save our country. I used to say, without borders, we don't have a country. I can say also, without an honest voting system, without an electoral process that works and that's honest and fair, we don't have a country either. We need to check every single signature in the presidential and senatorial elections. And right now, we have to get out to vote for David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler to show the radical left that we will never surrender. We will only win. We're going to win. We always win. Somehow we find a way to win. Now is not the time to retreat. Now is the time to fight harder than ever before. So don't listen to my friends. Just go out. Just go out. And you know what they're saying? They're saying, we want you to fix the system. We're going to fix the system. But the system will be fixed when these people get in. They'll get in and we'll fix the system. Because we're all victims. Everybody here, all these thousands of people here tonight, they're all victims, every one of you. The next great victory for our movement begins right here on January 5th, and then we are going to win back the White House. We're going to win it back. And we're going to take back the House in 2022. And then in 2024, and hopefully I won't have to be a candidate, we're going to win back the White House again. A friend of mine said, "Oh, don't worry about it, sir. You're way up in the polls. You'll win in 2024. I said, "I don't want to wait till 2024. I want to go back 3 weeks." We're thrilled to be joined tonight by some real friends of all of ours, Representatives Doug Collins. It was fantastic. And by the way, I got to tell you, as you know, he and Kelly had a great primary, a very strong primary. They both did fantastically well, and he is on board, and he is one of the greatest advocates I've ever met in Washington. I want to thank Doug Collins. Where's Doug? Thank you, Doug. What a job he does. Thank you. Doug, you want to run for governor in 2 years, Bobby? Be a good-looking governor. A friend of mine, one of the toughest guys you'll ever see, Louis Gohmert of Texas. Louis. Thank you, Louis. Thank you, Louis. And a young up-and-comer who's taken Washington by storm, Dan Crenshaw. Where's Dan? Where's Dan? Where's Dan? I didn't see you, Dan. It's the first time that's ever happened to me, huh? Because you do stand out in many ways. Thank you very much, Dan. The next senator from Tennessee just got elected. Did my endorsement help? Better believe it. We love Tennessee. Bill Hagerty. He's going to be a great senator. He's going to be a great senator for a long time. Your former 8-year governor, he only left because of a thing called term limits. If I would have known, I would have tried to end those term limits. But he went to the Department of Agriculture as his head. He's done a tremendous job. And, you know, we've handed out $28 billion to farmers, $28 billion. I said, how badly have we been targeted by China? And Sonny Perdue said, over a 2-year period, sir, $28 billion. That's when I put the tariffs on China, took the money, and gave it out to the farmers. And we had a lot of money left over, and we put that into the U.S. Treasury. Right, Sonny? And you've done a fantastic job. He knows more about farms than any human being. State representative, a friend of mine, a great gentleman. He saw what was happening. He happens to be a Democrat, but we love him. I'm trying to talk him into joining our party. Vernon Jones. Where's Vernon? Thank you, Vernon. What a great guy. Agriculture Commissioner Gary Black. Gary. Good job you're doing. Boy, what a good reputation. Thank you very much, Gary. Your public service commissioners, Tricia Pridemore, Jason Shaw, a great man, great man, who's also on the ballot next month, Bubba McDonald. I like that name. Where's Bubba? Tricia? Great job. Great job. That's great. Thanks a lot, Bubba. And I introduce you to Burt Jones. Burt's going to be a very important man, I think, over the next coming with William and Brandon and the folks, and I appreciate it. And Greg, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it very much. Very important. Georgia Republican Party Chairman David Schaefer. David. Hi, David. How we doing, David? Oh, we'll fire you so fast if we don't. Now, David's done a great job, and he works very closely with RNC Chairwoman. This is how we won. We won a great state. We won a great state known as Michigan when she was there, and I said, let's bring her to Washington, Ronna McDaniel. Thank you, Ronna. Thank you. Thank you, Ronna. Over the last 4 years, we built the greatest political movement in the history of our country. Already we've achieved more than anyone thought possible, and we're just getting started, and we don't want other people to rip it apart. We must re-elect Kelly and David to keep it going for decades. Our politicians spent trillions and trillions of dollars rebuilding other foreign nations, fighting foreign wars, and defending foreign borders. We want to defend our border, if it's okay. And we're now finally protecting our nation, rebuilding our cities, and we are bringing our jobs, our factories, and our troops back home to the USA where they belong. Thank you. Bringing them home. Not easy to bring them home. I bring them home and they say, well, sir, we got to keep them there, sir. We got to keep spending money. We've got to keep giving money to these countries that can't stand us, that nobody ever heard of. In everything we do, we are putting America first. We ended the war on American energy, and the United States is now the #1 producer of oil and natural gas anywhere on Earth. We achieved the most secure border in U.S. history, and we built our wall, as I said. Very important for you because you're a big military between the equipment we build and VA choice and VA accountability, right? You ever notice the vets? We used to always have on television, you'd have the fake news that'd always be, well, in that case it wasn't fake, but for years, you'd always see vets how badly treated they were, how badly treated. I shouldn't say this because they'll find one somewhere in the country, but you don't see that. You don't see that anymore. You don't see the stories on the evening news about vets that are being treated horribly. And accountability was a big factor. We fired 9,000 horrible people that took advantage of our vets, and they're gone. And now if our vets don't get good service, they go out, they see a doctor, we pay the bill, they get better, they don't wait on line for weeks and months. We destroyed 100% of the ISIS caliphate in Iraq and Syria. We killed the leader of ISIS, al-Baghdadi, and we eliminated the world's top terrorist. Soleimani is dead. I withdrew from the last administration's disastrous Iran nuclear deal, and I think they want to start it up again. Can you believe this? I wonder if they'll give them $150 billion. No, they'll give them $250. They were ready to rock. They were ready to do whatever we wanted. Now they're salivating. I recognize the true capital of Israel and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. And also recognize Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. Instead of endless war, we are forging peace all over the world. And you know, we have the greatest military ever. We have the greatest equipment, all made in the USA, a lot of it made in Georgia. But you know what? I'm the only one in many, many decades that hasn't started a war. Everyone thought that with my personality, I'd be in war the first week. They were all saying war. And we developed relationships. Let's see how he would do with Kim Jong-un of North Korea. I don't think too well. But whatever happened to that? Remember, I came in, it was going to be war with North Korea. It was going to be war with everybody. No, we built the greatest military in the world, and the better it is, the less likely it is that we're going to have to use it. But everything that we've achieved together is on the line on June 5th. In this election, you can send a message to the fake news media, and there's a lot of them right back there. And they'll find something wrong with this evening. I don't know what it is, but they'll find something wrong. Maybe it was the person that shouted love. They'll say it was a horrible protester. They'll find something, Kelly and David. They're going to find something. They're looking, they're having a hard time. It's been a love fest. This is a love fest for these two people. But they all want the Silicon Valley censors and the corrupt Democrat political machine. They're partners. You must vote for David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. Go out and vote. With your help, we are going to continue our mission to save America. We will defend the right to life, religious liberty, free speech, and the right to keep and bear arms. They're going to take your guns away. We will always support the heroes of law enforcement. We will maintain America's unrivaled military might, and we will preserve peace through strength. We will protect Social Security and Medicare, and we will always protect patients with pre-existing conditions. Right? We will stop the radical indoctrination of our students and children and restore patriotic education to our schools. We will teach our children to love our country, honor our history, and always respect our great American flag. And we will live by the words of our national motto, "In God we trust." From Atlanta to Augusta, from Savannah to Columbus, and from Athens to right here. Right here. This is a nice place. This is a nice place. Valdosta. We inherit the legacy of generations of American patriots who gave their blood, sweat, and tears to defend our country and our freedom. We stand on the shoulders of American heroes who crossed the oceans, settled the continent, tamed the wilderness, laid down the railroads, raised up the great skyscrapers, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and made America into the single greatest nation in the history of the world. And if they get in, and add me into the group if you don't mind, we will be greater than ever before, without question. The best is yet to come. Proud citizens like you help build this country, and together we are taking back our country. Our fight to drain the Washington swamp and reclaim America's destiny has just begun. We will not bend, we will not break, we will not yield. We will never give in, we will never give up, and we will never back down. We will never, ever surrender. Because we are Americans, and our hearts bleed red, white, and blue. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together with the incredible people of Georgia, we have made America powerful again. They've done it. We have made America wealthy again. We have made America strong again. We have made America proud again. We have made America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Georgia. Get out and vote. Get out and vote.